Lately, I've been focusing on older games and have ended up creating a huge backlog of newer titles I've purchased but didn't play. Well, I wanted to clear up that backlog but also kinda wanted to get that platinum for my next video. Some of them were longer experiences, so I threw in some quick options as well and put them all together in a wheel and spinned it to get a winner. And here we are, playing Lies of P and trying to get that shining platinum trophy. First things first, I went to the trusty trophy guide page to check out that trophy list. Well folks, this game has a total of 43 trophies, of which we have 26 bronze, 13 silver, 3 gold and that shining platinum. Everything looked clear for the most part, except for a few things, but more on that later. We play as this puppet who's definitely not called Pinocchio, who wakes up from a deep slumber thanks to this lady called Sophia. She tells us to go to this hotel where she'll explain more on what's happening. We pick up this lamp which has Gemini Cricket, who's our guide for this world. We are also asked to pick one of the 3 weapons, which basically signifies the class we want to choose, that is, dexterity, strength, or a more balanced build. I picked the Dex class as I usually like playing with a lighter weapon, which can get some quick hits while I dodge them boss attacks. We enter this railway station full of dead bodies and murderous puppets roaming around. Before any of the puppets could actually attack me, I just went and stabbed one in the ass, from behind, unlocking our first trophy. The environment looks deadly, which kind of makes you wonder as a player, what actually happened here? We fight our way through some of the puppets in the area, leading to our very first mini-boss. This big policeman puppet who was tough. We learn the importance of blocking and perfect blocking the incoming attacks, and also the stagger mechanic, where we can charge hit the enemies to stagger them, leading to a critical hit. Killing this puppet, we get the key to our exit and open the main door leading to the gorgeous city of Krat, which kinda looks like a mixture between 2 of my favorite cities, Edinburgh and Paris. This game is truly gorgeous and I'm apologizing in advance for repeating this like a bajillion times throughout this video. We get our next trophy for activating a stargazer, which is basically like a bonfire or sites of grace where we can respawn, level up and change equipment. Moving forward, we are introduced to more of these bigger mini boss style enemies and red fury attacks, which are best to dodge as we can't block them but can definitely perfect block them if we are good enough. We reached the first real boss of the game, which is this giant parade master puppet who looked freaky. Here's how my first fight went. Well, to be fair, I hadn't played Souls-like games in a while and I had definitely gotten rusty trying to get used to the swing of things. The first phase of this boss fight is pretty okay. Most of the attacks are blockable, leading to stagger the boss. However, that stagger window can be a bit too small. The second phase is where things get interesting, as he rips off his head using it like a weapon. What a madman. One thing which I forgot to mention about the blocking mechanic was that we can gain back our lost health by attacking enemies right away, kinda similar to Bloodborne. Anyway, after a good couple of tries, I beat this clown master, earning our next trophy. We see this dying puppet who says puppets cannot enter, and Sophia tells us about the hotel security and that we would have to lie in order to get in, which puppets generally can't do. We are presented with our first choice in the game and I said the truth cause I'm a good boy. And the hotel security asked me to fuck off, and well, I did, saying goodbye to that platinum. Okay, just kidding. I lied by saying that I was a human and I was welcomed inside, getting another trophy. We are then shown the title of the game and the intro cutscene explaining a bit about what's going on. Turns out that puppets were created in the city of Krat, bringing prosperity, peace and advancement. But then something weird happened and they started attacking humans and things got out of control. We meet Sophia, who's kind of like the leveling up doll from Bloodborne, and tells us to find Geppetto, our creator. We also meet another puppet inside who's the receptionist of the hotel and seems pretty okay. Antonia, who's the owner of the hotel, and Eugenie, who gives us a new toy in the form of a mechanical arm, which lets us do this. We also have this practice courtyard in the hotel where we can try out different attack combos, Legion Arms and Fable Arts, which are these power attacks associated with different weapon blades and handles. With all this, we finish chapter 1 of the game and move towards chapter 2.
The Black Rabbit Brotherhood. I hate these guys. But don't be alarmed. My name is Gemini. We'll talk later, when we're safe.
I love that as we approach every new area in the game, Gemini gives his 2 cents and as a true guide tells us more about the different locations and their history, which really made me feel connected to the world of Krat. We make our way through the Dead City, killing puppets and finding different defense materials like this frame. Another really minor but cool thing about the game is that even if we have used all our healing cells, we can always gain more by playing more aggressively. We also find an amulet, which is kinda like rings from Dark Souls games, and can be equipped to gain some perk. Up next, we meet this wandering merchant who sells us some quick throwable items and a weapon which I bought, as it's one of the best starting weapons in the game if you want to focus on an elemental build, which I kind of was going for. I knew all of this as I'd previously played this game on Game Pass but never actually finished it. I loved it so much that I just ended up buying it on PlayStation during the Christmas sale. Anyway, we talk to this old lady who seems to be really sick and wants us to find her baby. We gladly accept her request and fight another police puppet mini boss who was tough. Beating it gets us his police baton, which is needed for one of the collectible related trophies in the game. We then see this man wearing a donkey mask who reminded me of someone.
Hey, you laugh like a donkey.
He calls us the devil's puppet and we gotta take him on. This game has a lot of humanoid bosses and they all have one common weak point: backstab. Oh hell yeah, backstabbing is so overpowered on these guys, and just dodging to their right mostly gets us that easy backstab. Killing the donkey dude, we meet Geppetto, our father, which unlocks another trophy. He immediately asks us for help and wants us to clear out this giant puppet guarding the city hall. We also gain the ability to break our weapon in two parts, that is, the blade and the handle, and can mix and match for different combinations. Trying a new combination gets us another easy trophy. Moving towards the city hall, we see this clicker-like creature, which is a good foreshadowing of the things to come, and find a group of dead people and a baby puppet, which we can give to the old lady from before. Anyways, we approach the city hall and are greeted by this big electric watchman puppet who is great for teaching the importance of perfect guarding. During his second phase, he gets this electric aura around and can do heavy electric damage. Also, I got caught in his grab animation, which was deadly. I think this game can be super accessible to any newcomers to Souls-like games and people not so great with these games. Through the Spectre mechanic, we can summon these specters before most of the boss fights, who can really make the overall bosses feel trivial sometimes. I used the Spectre to distract the watchman and got some good hits beating him and earning our next trophy. Thank you, Mr. Spectre. We travel back to the old lady and give her the doll, and well, she reacted like this.
There, my baby. I've missed you so much. What do you think? Isn't my baby adorable?
Cause I'm a good boy, I chose to lie to her, which gets us a music record, which can be played in the hotel and is also needed for one of the collectible related trophies in the game. Back in the hotel, Eugenie gives us another Legion arm, and we learn one important hint that puppets are prone to electric attacks. Finally, we meet our father.
You've returned. Forgive a sentimental father for worrying about his son. Always remember that you're precious to me, even when I ask you to do something dangerous.
Geppetto asks us for another favor, which is to save Venini, a genius inventor who went to this puppet factory to shut it down and never returned. We are also introduced to P organs, which are these different abilities which can be unlocked using quartz that is found throughout the game. I was making sure to collect as many quartz as possible along the journey, as the P organs are a game changer and can help reduce that difficulty spike. With all that, we finish the second chapter and move towards Venini Works.
Here it is. Venini Works. Everything you see here belongs to Venini. Almost every machine and tram in Krat is supplied from here. You gotta be curious about the guy.
We find this ringing telephone, and after picking it up, we chat with Arlecchino, the king of riddles, who really reminded me of Riddler from the Batman series. He asks us our very first riddle, which I failed cause I'm dumb. Well, at least we still get this key, which unlocks a door, and there's around 5 riddles in the game, which can get us these keys, needed for a side story and trophies. The factory is deadly, full of dangerous puppets and traps, but thanks to the tip, the electric weapon was working wonders here. Also, as I fought more and more puppets, I was getting used to perfect blocking the attacks, which makes the game way easier. We meet Venini, who was betrayed by his stalker companions. He begs us to clear all the puppets on the premise and asks us to find his butler puppet. We also meet a human survivor who sees through our true nature and instantly starts attacking us. I think one of the things which the game can improve on is some of these camera angles. Like, while I was fighting this guy, I kind of got stuck and the camera was definitely not helpful. Anyway, on my second attempt, I blocked his attack so much that it broke through his weapon, earning us a trophy. Most weapons in this game, whether it be ours or the enemies, has this durability mechanic and can be broken away. We get an easy win over this guy and meet the stalkers who betrayed Venini. Just like the original story, these two can be very deceiving and we'll meet them multiple times throughout the story. We also see this giant mechanical robot like puppet, also known as the puppet of the future, and taking him out gets us an easy quartz. We move towards the final boss of this area, King's Flame Fuko. This was the first boss in the game, which was a real challenge back when I first played the game, and I remember trying to beat him without any help for an hour or two. For this playthrough, I remembered most of what I did to defeat him and easily perfect blocked most of the attacks. During the second phase, he can get a bit tricky and faster using a lot of his burning abilities. I almost defeated him and died as he was on his final hit point. I did way better on the third attempt and beat him for good, unlocking our next trophy. We find Venini's butler in a burnt condition and send them both off to the hotel. He gives us a reward in the form of a grindstone, which lets us add a special effect to our weapons. We can also upgrade our Legion arms now and can craft new ones. I quickly crafted Flamethrower 1 as I just love playing as a pyromaniac in these type of games. Well, this finishes the chapter 3 and we march towards our next destination.
If a puppet starts acting on its own, does that mean the puppet has free will? Or is someone else controlling the puppet?
Whoa, did puppets do this?
Up and onwards towards the Moonlight Town, we find this stalker lady who asks us if we are a stalker or not, to which I replied that I'm a stalker indeed, which skipped us an extra boss fight. On our way, we see a pile of dead bodies and these zombie-like creatures who are the second enemy type in the game. Luckily, they are sensitive to fire and I had just the right weapon in my inventory to deal with them. I was making sure to level up my advanced stats to increase that elemental damage. We find this big church, the way to which is blocked by a good amount of zombie enemies. Taking them head on, we enter the church and see this weird creature leading us below. We also met Giangio, who's an alchemist who's after this gold coin fruit which can cure the petrification disease, leading to these zombie-like creatures. Anyways, we travel deeper inside the cathedral, fighting carcass enemies, collecting new weapons and items, and of course, dodging various death traps. This area low-key reminded me of Blighttown from Dark Souls, but only an easier version. We also meet Alidoro next, who's a treasure collector and can sell us boss weapons in exchange for boss souls. I purchased this parry medallion from him only to realize that we need to collect all the special weapons for a trophy, so I'll have to get back to this trophy on the New Game Plus run. He asks us for a safe spot and I didn't trust him too much, so I just lied to him to get some humanity points. We also meet this nun NPC in the area and we complete her side quest, as it's kind of required for 2 collectibles which are related to 2 different trophies. We finally found the creature from earlier, who's the Archbishop himself. I went with my helper to study the boss's weak points, and totally not because I suck at this game. I had no problem fighting the first phase, as most of the attacks can be easily dodged or perfectly blocked. The second phase is where things can get a bit tricky. The key is to go behind him, as the fight then becomes the same as the first phase. The only thing to keep an eye out for in this fight is this charged beam he shoots, which can one-shot us. I know I'm making this sound very easy, but with the early game moveset, he can be quite tricky. I tried a couple more times with no luck, but learned his pattern, so went solo. The first phase went smooth as butter, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a bit lucky on the second phase, but melted him away with all that fire damage. Beating him earns us our next trophy. Damn, is it satisfying to kill them bosses and get a trophy. We clear up any missing items from this chapter before moving forward and had a final chat with everyone at the hotel before marching towards Malum district.
On the bright side, I guess, the whole city of Krat's pretty much like that now. Yeah, the old town caught up with the new. It's true what they say. A receding tide sinks all boats.
We journey through the old town and slum area to reach Malum district, which is home to the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, a notorious criminal group of 4 stalkers. We have to fight this giant carcass mini boss at the entrance and then team up with the fox and the cat from earlier to defeat the rabbit gang. Well, the teamwork didn't last for too long and we just end up clearing everything on our way. We also find this underground merchant who is going to be our true savior throughout the different playthroughs. You see, he's the only merchant in the game who can supply us an unlimited supply of throwables, which are super overpowered in this game, especially if you're going for that advanced build. Okay, so with everything done and dusted in this area, we march towards the gang headquarters to take them on. Well, my first try didn't go too well, but I remembered this boss fight. We fight the eldest brother of the gang, whose attacks are mostly well telegraphed and therefore can be easily perfect blocked. The other members join in from time to time, but they can either be backstabbed to death or just left alone, as our main target here is the big guy. My go-to strategy here was to fight him till the others start jumping in and just melt his health with them throwables, which got me an easy victory, earning another trophy. In their headquarters, we find a portrait of ours and discover a new shortcut leading to the hotel, where we see Giangio and the golden fruit giving tree. This gets us another trophy and a new mechanic where we can collect fruits from the tree to basically reset our stats, P-organs and Legion arms, or trade them with Giangio to get wish stones, which can basically be used for stat boost for us and our specters during the boss fights. I think this mechanic really makes the game more accessible to a lot more newcomers, as we can make custom builds anytime now, leading to a much easier time. We give back the painting to Geppetto and he asks us to visit Rosa Isabella Street next to deal with the king of puppets himself to end the puppet nightmare once and for all, and the chapter comes to a close.
Rosa Isabelle Street, the entertainment district. You might call it extravagant. Adelina Corday, the singer in the red dress. Oh, she was the most famous of them all. The legendary prima donna. Well, I'm not sure if she's still alive, so past tense. Since it's getting a little depressing.
Damn, this level is just beautiful and really made me feel like I was in Paris. This level also introduces a lot more heavy hitting puppet enemies who can pretty much two-shot us if not careful, multiple NPCs and bosses. First came this white masked lady, for me, who was the second toughest humanoid boss, as she can be fast. Even after breaking away her weapon, she managed to best me easily. Her backstory is quite sad, as she became a stalker to avenge her sister. We meet this other NPC next, who wants us to check on his wife, who died during an accident on one of the streets. Turns out his wife was a puppet, kinda showcasing that love angle between a human and a machine, which was sad. I had to lie to him, which made me more human and also got me a ring needed for another side story later. On the main street, we fought this big clown puppet who's just a fucking tank and can be hella annoying but cool at the same time with his animations. Gosh, it took some time and patience learning his patterns to beat him, which was super satisfying. The one good thing is that there is a stargazer right behind him, which can save us all that extra travel time. Entering the main opera hall, we are greeted with some new enemy types and we collect all the items in the area. We also meet Adelina, who's the sister of the white lady, and we give her an apple as her dying request. Turns out she poisoned her own sister as she was jealous of her voice. After this, we went to fight the final boss of this area. His first phase is this big giant robot which can look quite intimidating at first but is easy to block mostly. The key here is to wait patiently and look out for them slamming attacks to perfect block them and create a window without being too greedy. The second phase is where things get tough and the true king comes out of the robot. Boy, is he fast and can fuck us up in just a couple of hits if not careful. I still remember facing him for the first time and it was horrible. Luckily, we can turn the tables with ease using some throwables. So I went to my favorite merchant and stocked up heavily and went on a big streak facing the boss over and over again, only to panic and die. It started getting so bad that I couldn't even pass the first phase anymore. I was so done that I started completing some of the leftover side stuff like solving enigmas, which is required for another trophy, and ergo farming for more throwables. With a calmer mind, I started taking out the first phase without losing any heals, and in the second phase, dodging most of his attacks and only throwing them bombs when he's not jumping around. Throwables and the advanced build did the trick, and we now have killed the king of puppets, earning another boss trophy. Geppetto tells us that even though the puppet frenzy might be over, the petrification disease is still a threat and we need to stop it. We travel towards the grand exhibition where the alchemists are creating a cure for the disease, and on the way see the puppets mourning for their king.
All these puppets look utterly down, depressed even. And that seems weird. That's weird, right?
When I say this game is beautiful, I truly mean it because of these minor details and that gorgeous music in the background. I could just listen to the soundtrack of this game all day. It's truly artistic. Before the exhibition, we make a quick detour around the Lorenzini arcade and visit the hotel to finish some of the side quests. Polendina, the butler puppet, has fallen in love with his master Antonia, who's dying from the petrification disease, and we show him the ring we got from Julian's quest to prove that puppets and humans can fall in love. We also get a new hairdo as we become more human now and can see that the cat in the hotel lets us pet him. Firebuild was working wonders with the carcass enemies and I was having a lot of fun melting them away. Also, this section is where I noticed how much easier the game had become since the release version. I remember having such a horrible time fighting the carcass and the jester mini-boss the first time I played this section. We get an easy trophy here in this section for killing all the different ergo butterflies.
Exhibition theme was automatic puppets and city of the future. The plan was to showcase and demonstrate the most advanced technology in Krat. But you know the rest. You can't hold an exhibition in a city that's fallen into utter chaos. And now the whole city is an exhibition of a nightmare.
This place is home to some tough puppets and alchemist enemies. I missed one of the NPCs in this area and completed everything else this place had to offer. I also made all the upgrades to my flame arm, earning another easy trophy. Moving along, we have to fight Victor, who's this giant juiced up guy, who's like a combination of Bane from the Batman universe and Frankenstein. I took the Spectre for this fight to learn his combos, but just ended up killing him on my first try. Most of his attacks are easily dodgeable, and charged elemental attacks did the rest of the trick. Defeating him gets us another trophy, and we meet Simon Manus, the leader of the Alchemists, who's basically responsible for the disease, and wants to use all the ergo to become a godlike being. Some more side quests are unlocked at this point, which we have to take care of for some of the trophies. Polendina at the hotel asks us to find a cure for Antonia, Eugenie wants us to give a glove to Alidoro the Hound, Sophia has her own history with Simon, and well, I missed this one NPC who's dead now. Rip. Giangio creates a cure for Antonia and we hand it over to the butler and give a gold coin fruit to the fox and the cat for a pose and a musical record. We now have to move towards the island of the Alchemists to face Manus. However, we need a transportation till there, which requires us to find a golden ergo, for which we visit the puppet junkyard.
The city tried to stop it, but eventually had much bigger concerns. If the Grand Exhibition's horrific solution spread this far too, it's just too terrible to think about. Oh, why am I thinking about it?
This place is a giant junkyard full of heavy hitting puppets. We also face some more puppets of future and complete a few NPC quests, like giving Eugenie's glove to Alidoro and making a new friend, which was just heartbreaking.
Monsters, humans, puppets, they all hate me. But I want to be friends with humans. If I learn how to feel, would that be possible? If you tell me how, I'll return the favor. I want to learn how to feel.
We also get extreme potential for getting till phase 5 of P organ upgrades and meet Hugo, another NPC who tells us a bit more about Alidoro. The boss of this chapter was a nightmare, like legit. It's this creature which devours puppets and hits super heavy. The first phase is still alright as most of the attacks can be blocked, but the second phase is just crazy as he gets the armor from the Watchman puppet and just fucking rolls over the arena. Even my Spectre couldn't help me too much at this point. After dying a good number of times, I decided it was time to quit this game for good. Well, thanks for watching the video and please like and subscribe for more crappy content. Okay, so I tried and tried over and over again only to fail. But eventually I started getting better at the first phase. I started to save my Spectre's health more till the second phase. For the second phase, my go-to strategy was just to let the Spectre distract him and go behind the boss for some heavy charged hits and Fable attacks. Somehow I got lucky and beat this shit, getting another trophy. Antonia is alright thanks to the cure, and there's a huge surge of Ergo near the Krat station, so we are out to investigate as Venini prepares our transport to the island.
You lost, little lamb. Hand over all you got.
Back in the station, we face more of the carcass enemies and the toughest humanoid boss, the Weasel. After clearing this section, we can see how the world has changed, comparing it with the start of the game, and we progress fighting tougher enemies. We also get another trophy for crafting all the different Legion arms and face new Alchemist enemies who are tough. Up next, we face this boss who I got stuck at for hours, mainly because she hits hard and the arena is super small and closed. At her mid health, she summons this shadow, kind of like Pontiff Sullivan from Dark Souls 3. After finishing her off, we can't teleport back to the hotel and are kind of stuck having to fight the final boss of this area, which is the parade master from the start, now only infused with some of the carcass. Fighting him head on was a nightmare and he was getting me in just 2 to 3 hits. The strategy here was to run away, baiting him to use this one slash attack which can be perfectly blocked, getting a few hits and using the Fable arts when possible, and running back away. At midpoint, he starts throwing these carcass enemies, which I avoided and repeated the process of baiting his blockable attacks. Finishing him off gets us another trophy. And we get back to the hotel, which is almost destroyed by the Black Rabbit gang, along with the Fox, Cat and Alidoro. Luckily, everyone's safe except Geppetto, who's kidnapped. We upgrade our weapon to the max level, getting another trophy, and complete a few more side activities. We learn the whereabouts of the rabbits and are off to face them one final time.
Accept your fate. Death has come for you.
This boss fight is basically the same as the first time, with the only exception being that we need to take care of the 3 first and the big guy comes again in the final phase. Also, backstabbing and elemental damage are just super overpowered during this. One thing to look out for here is that after we kill the first 2, the big guy reanimates, so the easier way is to focus on one first and reduce the remaining 2's health together so that we only have to fight the big guy one-on-one at the end. Of course, summons and throwables can make this fight a child's play. Finishing them off gets us another trophy. As we approach the finale, the story reaches its climax and we find out that Geppetto was the one who caused the whole puppet frenzy.
First law. All puppets must obey the Creator's commands. Law 0. The Creator's name is Geppetto.
And Alidoro is not the real Alidoro. He's a fake who killed the real guy, who was Eugenie's big brother. We kill the fake guy and hide the secret from Eugenie, getting a music record. Well, there's another record for telling her the truth, which we'll come back to in the second playthrough. We also learn about Venini's past, which is connected to Arlecchino, the Riddler guy. Finally, we use the submarine to reach the Alchemists' island, bringing this chapter to an end.
I wanna go home. I don't wanna be here.
Hi. Are you training to be a stalker too? Let's practice together. Call me Lampwick. You didn't even come to your graduation? I don't care if an old man like that kicks the bucket. Don't say that. It's nice you got any family at all. Let's start talking about this. Oh, she's here. Grab her.
Okay, now this is where things get super interesting, as Sophia was just a projection this whole time, and turns out that the real Sophia is trapped somewhere inside the abbey on this island, and we are also shown some of the past memories of Carlo, Geppetto's real son. On the island, we face all the toughest enemy types in the game and this door guardian, who's a gimmick boss. We just need to dodge his moves and critical hit him 2 times to finish him. He can be a bit tricky as his attacks hit hard and can stun us, but nothing too bad. Moving forward inside the abbey, we free this test subject guy who's needed for a few collectibles later and find Arlecchino, the Riddler guy, which gets us another trophy. Turns out he was the one who killed Venini's parents, and well, we get his revenge. We go back to Venini and give him a souvenir, learning his side of the story and getting another trophy. Up next on the island, we see the cat again, who we can fight or avoid using a gold coin. But I was kind of pissed at the duo, so just destroyed him. We also decipher all the cryptic vessels and collect all the hidden items, getting a trophy. The next main boss is Lexasia, who's supposed to be the toughest boss in the game. On my first try, I beat her first phase, which isn't too hard and can be mostly perfect blocked. The second phase is where things got interesting, and I legit couldn't even read some of her moves. She was lightning fast. On my second attempt, I took the helper and my acidic spear weapon, which literally melted her health away. I was very close to killing her, but died out of greed. For the third attempt, I just used some throwables to further ease up the process and got an easy win, earning another trophy. According to the guide page, I should make a backup save to get all the trophies in 2 playthroughs. But since I didn't have PlayStation Plus, I guess I'll be going for 3 playthroughs instead. Yeah, fuck my life. Back in the hotel, Antonia passes away and Polendina thanks us and swears to just act as a puppet moving forward. This gets us another trophy, and honestly, the side stories in this game are just heartbreaking. We also meet the escaped test subject from the island on Rosa Isabella Street, who talks about the white lady who was a terrific singer if only he knew the truth.
As promised, we always match.
Purchasing the final weapon from him gets us normal weapon collector. Up next, we see the real body of Sophia and are presented with an option to let her live or give her peace, both of which are tied to different endings and collectible records. For this playthrough, I decided to let her live and march towards to face Simon Manus. Along the way, we can fight the fox or let her off by giving a gold coin, fruit, and also free Geppetto. By this time, I had also collected all the boss weapons except for one and decided to upgrade a boss weapon to max, unlocking another trophy. I think I don't have much to say about the Simon boss fight, as again, I got through this fight using the Spectre and throwable combination, which worked magic. Just staying away from couple of his one-shot moves and playing patiently works the best. Defeating him, we learn his motives and story, unlocking 2 trophies. Finally, we go back to Geppetto, who asks for our heart and promises to make us a real boy in return, to which we say no, and here comes the final boss of the game. He opens up his suitcase, releasing this maniac of a puppet, and this fight is tough but really good. Again, the first phase is sorta easy and the advanced build worked like a charm. Most of his attacks can be blocked here and he can be staggered. The second phase is where things get crazy, as he's super fast and can mostly two-shot us. This fight legit took some time and I used everything in my arsenal to beat him. Finally, we beat him getting 2 trophies, one for killing him and another for getting the free from the puppet string ending, where Geppetto dies and we are back to the hotel with everyone safe. We are also shown that Giangio isn't who he is and he leaves Krat. We are also shown a girl in red who I thought was Red Riding Hood, but saw online that it could be Alice in Wonderland. We are given the option to directly start the new game plus, but I went to check on everyone in the hotel first and collect the remaining boss weapons before starting the next playthrough, and also played a perfect piano string, getting another trophy. I checked the number of trophies remaining and we had a total of 9 more trophies to go, which were Learning About Emotions, Special Weapon Collector, Golden Melody, Rise of P, Real Boy, Story of the Blue Butterfly, Story of the Strange Girl, Story of One Father, and finally that Shining Platinum. I only missed one emotion in the game, which was Swagger, which we get from Venini after saving him. The new game plus raises the overall difficulty of the game, but also gives us some new abilities like the 6th P organ slot to help ease the difficulty spike. Also, another great thing here is that we can now hear the puppet dialogues during the boss fights, which were inaudible during the first playthrough. It's such a cool minor detail, but I swear I just couldn't focus on them anywhere during the boss fight. Oh, and we can also buy golden discs from the merchants now, which is needed for the Golden Melody trophy. After defeating King's Flame boss, I chatted with Venini collecting the final emotion, getting Learning About Emotions, and also exchanged the boss's soul for a weapon unlocking Special Weapon Collector. I skipped most enemies and just ran from one boss to another, which went great as I used the Spectre throughout to quickly end the fights. This time, I made sure to talk to Belle before the Bane boss fight and sent her to the hotel. The only 2 fights which gave me a really hard time were the Swamp Monster and the Walker of Illusions. Other than that, it was all smooth sailing. We also completed Belle's quest, which is another sad story, getting another record. Up next, I pulled an oopsie. I forgot to decipher the vessel which tells us that Alidoro was Eugenie's brother, and just talked to her, getting the other record disc. Well, this would have to be taken care of in the 3rd playthrough now. Again, Poison, Spectre and Throwable worked wonders on Lexasia fight, and I used one of the boss amulets for some extra damage. This time we gave Sophia the piece she deserved and get another disc. I also purchased all the golden discs and started listening to all the records, even though I had already heard them all, which unlocked golden memory. Simon on the new game plus was legit hard, even with all the extra throwables and Spectre heals, and the final nameless puppet even harder. My acidic spear was kind of useless at the final stage, so I used the umbrella boss weapon, which is one of my favorite weapons in the game. Defeating the nameless puppet, we shed a few tears for Geppetto and transfer all of our Urgo into another puppet, which revives Sophia and gets us Rise of P. Back in the hotel, we can find a letter from Sophia in Geppetto's study, which gets us another trophy. The second new game plus is even harder, but comes with some more moves, like normal blocking the fury attacks. I also found that we can change our hairstyle during this run through, which for some reason I never tried earlier. This time, we tell Eugenie about her brother getting another trophy and give our heart back to Geppetto, and he makes us a real boy and kills everyone and replaces them with puppets, making Carlos safe from the entire world. He leaves the hotel and reading his goodbye note gets us the story of one father and that shining platinum. This was a long experience, but I had a great time playing through the game and seeing all the different endings and character arcs. This is definitely one of my favorite Souls-like games now, and I highly recommend anyone to check it out. Well, if you have enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as it pushes me further to make more content. With that said, bye bye and see you next time.